Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Final Down NFL podcast. With me, Jim, Finn, Punk Raider, and Denver Dave. We're here to talk about NFL, boys. How we doing?
As you can tell, really, really excited to be here.
Yeah, over the moon.
Should we do that one again? Because it was.
Did you good reaction
I
again?
thought we were doing.
I was waiting for someone else to speak, and I was
No,
swallowing my water as I was drinking.
I was going to speak, and then I thought actually this is quite amusing just to
Yeah,
fester.
exactly.
You know, I'll just edit it, right? So I'll cut out any gap.
No, you better not.
Oh, absolutely.
No, because it takes away from the amusement.
Takes on the dourness of the I suppose so.
We're back for week 4 review. It wasn't a great week for most of us, but we'll get through those.
Fantastic week. What's wrong with you?
We're going to be reviewing all 16 games. We start as usual with the Thursday night game, and that was the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. Congratulations, Dallas! You beat the Giants on the 7th straight time and 14th in 15 games. Early touchdown passes to Rico Dowdle and CeeDee Lamb were ultimately good enough to get past Sad Blue. Though they couldn't get a touchdown, the Giants were at least getting field goals, and they were getting these riding their rookie star receiver Malik Nabers, who caught 12 for 115 yards. It meant it was a tense finish for the Cowboys, and injuries to Nabers and Cowboys star Micah Parsons didn't help this as a rewatch. The final score was the Cowboys 20, Giants 15.
Can I offer a slightly unpopular opinion that Dallas are a terrible team?
You offer unpopular opinions all the time, Dave. That's fine. That's why you're here.
It's not just that I think that they're soft and that any team who plays hard against them. I'm starting to think they're generally a really bad team. They had double-digit penalties in this game, and there were other penalties that were declined by the Giants. So it would have ended up being 14 or 15. It's mayhem. The Giants had almost 36 minutes of time in possession. Honestly, Dallas came away with a win here. They didn't deserve it, and they are not very good at the moment in any way, shape, or form.
I kind of echo that. The problem for the Giants is it's been 20 months since Daniel Jones threw a touchdown in that stadium.
20 months?
20 months. Over a year and a half.
To his own team, at least.
To his own team.
Oh, yeah.
That's criminal.
You are right. To be fair, I don't think he did a lot wrong in this game. I don't think the Giants did a lot wrong. I think the problem they've got, they're just not getting in the end zone. You are right with the Cowboys. They are not a particularly good team. They've got individual players that will dig them out of holes. That's the difference between these two teams, I think. Penalty situation was just ridiculous. I've no idea what was going on. I don't think I've ever seen as many penalties given as there were in that game. It was like every other play was a penalty for somebody, and it was difficult to watch in the end.
One of the commentators, I forgot who the commentator was, even went, "Ugh, more laundry." I was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
I think he even said at one point, "I just need to record this and keep on playing it because it's just non-stop."
Yeah, it's nuts. It was absolutely
usually Al Michaels, isn't it? I think on the Thursday night.
Yes, it was Al Michaels and whoever his latest co-commentator is. But yeah, no, I don't think the Giants were particularly bad. I don't think the Cowboys were particularly good. This was one of those kind of typical Thursday night games where you could tell both teams were on a short week, and yeah, it just felt a bit like the Cowboys were always destined to win it because they could get it in the end zone, whereas the Giants couldn't.
Cowboys play a decent team here. They lose this game.
That's the key, isn't it? It's the Giants' offense. If they had a serviceable quarterback, then they'd actually make things happen. And Nabers at the moment is sort of the only one really making things happen and is pulling them out of a hole. But if they put a good quarterback in there, they're going to do so much more. And all it takes is another score in this game, another touchdown. Well, a touchdown, and they're leading this, and they win this because, like Dave said, the Cowboys aren't that great, and we've seen it before when the going gets tough, particularly in the playoffs, when they sort of scrape through regular season or go on a big charge in the regular season, and everyone goes, maybe this is the year. It actually seems that the sort of playoff-esque of not turning up to games is going through the regular season as well. So a decent offense from the Giants would have won that game.
Yeah, Yeah. And then of course, Michael.
I'm
Malik
nodding
Neighbours.
on the podcast. Sorry. Yes, absolutely. Thinking,
Please,
right, I don't know.
use your words.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, no.
And of course, Malik Neighbours got a concussion right by the end, so we're not sure if he's going to play next week.
Yeah, I watched that a
Hopefully
couple of times. I'm still not sure how he managed to knock himself out because it certainly wasn't the defender hitting him.
It was
that
the
knocked him
ground.
out. So, I don't really know because he seemed to be out before he hit the ground, which was
Right.
interesting.
I
It's
thought
just
he was
I'm
dressed
sure
as
it
well.
was.
it's a special talent you get when you play for the Giants.
Yeah, it's that
Must be,
turf.
must
The
be.
turf came up and hit him, probably.
Yeah, it's tackled Daniel Jones on a rush before, so why not?
Yeah, I'm going to move on from the Giants because you're
I hate
absolutely
them.
right about the Cowboys as well. Soft. Let's go to Sunday then, and we start with the 6 o'clock slate. Oh, I don't care about the 6 o'clock slate. We're going to go for Sunday, all right? Go for the good games. I'm going to do the Commanders at the Cardinals. It's not been an easy start for the Cardinals. They were vastly improved from last season, but looking at their schedule, they probably hoped this would be an easy win in the desert of tough matchups. Turns out they ran into a buzzsaw with rookie quarterback that outplayed everyone on the field yet again to pull out a third win in 4 for the Commanders. Another touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin, 2 rushing touchdowns from Jeremy McNichol, 1 from Brian Robinson, and 1 from Daniels himself, who has put up historic completion percentages. Just eased them away. The final score was the Commanders 42, Cardinals 14.
This is what you love to see. Cards getting demolished.
That's so,
Oi!
rough.
The
Sorry.
Commanders.
Sorry. No, I mean, Jaden Daniels was phenomenal and did not look like a rookie whatsoever. And there was one point where he had threw his first pick, then went 3 and out. And a lot of rookies would throw them mentally, but he just came back, brushed it off like nothing happened, and carried on moving the ball, making plays. And that offense is really starting to fire and is putting up a hell of a lot of points. Defense turned up more so this week, still a bit susceptible to the run game. That will be a concern with Derrick Henry and co in the next couple of weeks. But it's not a huge concern when you've got that offense putting up that amount of points. So, yeah, a very well balanced side, and it's a winning formula for the Commanders.
Do you know where I think the balance comes from? It's the run game. They ran the ball 37 times this week. And by the way, Anthony Lynn deserves a huge amount of praise because he's come over and he's now the run game coach in Washington, and they trust him. And he's built a really, really good, strong, solid run game.
Ex-Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn.
Yep. A former Bronco Anthony Lynn as well. And former Lions coordinator Anthony Lynn. So love, hate.
Love.
He's done phenomenally well, really, really has. And it's just when you've got a good run game, it opens up the field, especially when the fact that not only is there a run game from the backs, but there's a run game from your quarterback who can also pass. This is a really, really high-powered offense.
And escape the pocket as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got more scoring drives than completions. This is ridiculous what's going on.
Well, that was the first punt they'd had since week 1.
Yeah.
So it was about time the punter earned some coin.
Well, that punter should be prosecuted under the Trade Descriptions Act because he's done nothing.
I mean, it kind of puts it into paraphrases it well when you say that Jaden Daniels now has the record for the highest completed percentage in NFL history over the first 4 games of a season. So that's not rookies. That's in NFL history. So I agree. I think Cliff Kingsbury has put together an awesome offense for him. And as we always say, he has. He absolutely has.
Where it's due.
And as we always say, the best friend of a rookie quarterback is a decent run game because you're not having to rely on him to throw it 50 times. Hey, Chicago.
And a good offensive line as well. Credit needs to go to that offensive
good offensive line as well. But a run game will always help. Always help. Yeah. So I think the Commanders at the moment, I thought they'd improve. I think they've improved far beyond what I thought they might this season. But yeah, great. Loved it. Cardinals really just were a bit shell shocked, I think, at how quickly and easily Washington were able to move the ball.
I don't think
same thing happened to the Bengals, wasn't it, last week? They didn't expect to be scored on every single time. You're like, hang on a minute, why? What? The scores just keeps racking up.
Yeah.
I mean, James Conner got a touchdown. Marvin Harrison got another touchdown. Good to see that. But yeah, I mean, Carter was sacked 4 times by the Commanders' defense. Well, sorry, Finn. We like seeing rookies have a good season.
We do. I mean, I don't think Arizona played that badly.
No, I don't.
They should have come out if it was under normal circumstances, they would have scored more than 14. But it meant that they had to do things out of the ordinary in on third downs, go for it when potentially you'd have played for a punt. You do things that you wouldn't normally do, and it throws you off your game. You won't run it as much as you should have. It makes it really, really difficult. But I think it was very much a get right game for. I was going to say get right game for Washington. It was keep your momentum going. Because it's so easy from.
It was showing that the Bengals game wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
It really was saying this is who we are. This is what we can do. And no, it wasn't just a one-off that the Bengals didn't play particularly well.
I think I'm not going to go as far as that. I think you're right. I think it's this is what we can do. This is what we are. You need to see it for 5, 6, 7 weeks.
Maybe, but maybe our floor isn't as low as you thought it was.
Oh, I agree. I mean, but at the beginning of the season, I think most of us were reasonably high on Washington.
I think it was the element of we didn't quite know what to expect, and it seemed that was the ethos of go out there, boys, go and play football, have fun. We'll give you some structure, but ultimately, this is a brand new team, so let's build something together.
It's the tempo they're playing at, though. It's incredible, and it's just so hard for teams to keep up. And the thing is, whilst you're playing at that tempo, they're 9 of 12 on third down in this game. It's the statistics that they're running at the moment are just unbelievable.
Yep. So on to the next game. We're going to do the Rams at the Bears, and not want to fall too far behind the guy taking one spot after him in the draft. Caleb Williams got his second win of the season at home. This one over a severely depleted LA Rams team. It wasn't pretty. Their running back had the most receiving yards for Chicago, but just having Keenan Allen back was helpful. DJ Moore got a touchdown, as did Swift and Johnson on the ground. Kyren Williams got one back late for LA, but the depth just wasn't there for the Rams. Final score was the LA Rams 18, Chicago Bears 24.
Whoop, whoop.
You don't sound very whoop, whoop there, Finn. Come on, give me some more enthusiasm there, son. Come on.
Sorry, I don't want to get too excited.
Rams getting a win. Loss, sorry.
I definitely didn't get a win, Jim.
No, they didn't get a win. No.
I'm going to be tears.
I'm going to be. I couldn't care less. This was such a dull game.
Oh.
But
Jim sounds really disappointed with that.
Right. It's just this. I mean, Chicago did what they should have done from the beginning of the season: make him throw it no more than 25 times. Give him a decent run game and just make it easy for him. I mean, bravo, you beat a team that's riddled with injuries. Would you want a Blue Peter badge?
Well, the fact they're actually doing it is quite nice to see.
I mean, yeah, but this is what they should have been doing. You don't get points for doing it 3 weeks late.
You might get to keep your job in the NFL.
Let's not go.
They don't win this game. Have the Rams got their full depth, particularly on the receiving core? They're really struggling on the offense to get going.
That the Rams couldn't push the ball down the field. So they would get so far, kick a field goal, next drive, exactly the same thing. It was stall out on 3rd and long because they haven't got the receivers available to them. So, all right, Tutu Atwell's caught 4 for 82. But apart from that, there's not much going on.
And they didn't dominate the game. I mean, they had double-digit penalties again because, that's what Chicago do. Lost time in possession. And they just, what was impressive in this game, really? They beat a team who were really, really struggling with injured players. Nothing to write home about here.
Let's not then. Going to move on to the next game. Let's do the Vikings at the Packers. Author Robert Louis Stevenson posited that the duality of man, the idea of all humans have both good and evil within them. While Dick can only see this manifested in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, he'll be proud to see his theory alive and well in the body of Jordan Love. This man threw 4 touchdowns, including 3 in the 4th quarter, to bring back 28-point deficit. Unfortunately, he was fully responsible for 3 interceptions, one of which injured receiver Christian Watson. And the Vikings held on for a high-scoring win in Green Bay. Final score was the Vikings 31, Packers 29.
You lost me with your highbrow
I'm sorry, I talked about an author, didn't I? I'm very
Too
sorry.
much English literature.
Yep.
Unless he wrote in crayon, I don't know him.
Good win for the Vikings. Obviously, very rare to get one in Green Bay as well.
Tough place to go. Would have been squeaky bum time for them as well, but I do think that they'd got so far in front that they took their foot off the gas and they just coasted. And there would have been a few panic stations when they realised that Jordan Love was actually making things happen and the Packers were coming back into the game and making it tight. But I think, before that they were comfortable, they were cruising, they were just sat there. So, I mean, all credit to the Packers for coming back into it, but I think there was an element of they were playing at a higher gear compared to the Vikings.
I'd agree with that. I think the Vikings thought their day was done quite early on. Anytime you're asking your quarterback to throw it 54 times, you're definitely trying to get back into a 28-point deficit game. It very rarely happens. But yeah, I think the one thing that stood out for me in this game, I think, was the lack of productivity from Josh Jacobs for Green Bay. I know they got in a hole early and had to fight their way back out, but Jacobs is one of those players that actually you can use him throughout the game just to keep the defense guessing a little bit. So I thought the fact that they moved completely away from him was a little bit silly on the Packers' part, to be honest. But I mean, the Vikings yet again kind of proved to us why. Certainly, I think they're one of the most well-rounded teams in football. When you've got Darnold throwing 20 of 28 for 275 and 3 touchdowns with only 1 pick, you've got a running game that racked up between them 120 yards. It's not terrible. I think you're right, Finn. I think they took their foot off the gas. Probably didn't expect Green Bay to come back as quickly as they did. And yeah, I think there would have been another gear there if they needed it. But good win for the Vikings anyway.
Let's move on then to the Eagles at the Buccaneers. The pure embarrassment of losing at home to the Denver Broncos in week 2 was taken out on the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday as the Bucs scored often and early. Mike Evans, Trey Palmer, and a Baker run had them up 24-0 before the Eagles could even get a first down. There was a touchdown pass to Paris Campbell and a rush from Jalen Hurts, but the game was done by halftime with the Eagles' best receivers out injured. Final score was the Eagles 16, Buccaneers 33.
This game just proves how damn good those Denver Broncos are.
I knew that was coming.
Oh dear.
Too long.
Any way to link it back?
No, we saw a get right from the Bucs. They're obviously angry from the week before. And they came out and they just took it out on the Eagles. It was big boy football against a team where something's not right, but I'm not clever enough to figure out what it is because I don't think it's in any one thing. I think there's a lot of stuff that's not right with Philly at the moment.
The defense is not good. Let's start with that.
Oh, the defense ain't good. The offense ain't good.
The offense ain't great. Much better.
Other than that.
But I mean, the offense, you can at least blame it on like Jason Kelce retiring and their 2 starting receivers being injured. There are flaws there that we know about, and they're kind of still bedding in a new center there. But the defense has just been so leaky. The corners aren't doing anything. The linebackers are soft. The defensive line looks old for them. Fletcher Cox is still running out there, and Jalen Carter's getting mad on the sidelines. The entire atmosphere about the Eagles has just gone sour. And I think you can't look any further than Nick Sirianni and
it all stinks of leadership, doesn't it?
And lack of. They took too many good coordinators out of that team, and they haven't replaced them. It just feels like they need to move on from Fangio, not from Fangio necessarily, but from Sirianni definitely.
It's weird for a Fangio defense to be this bad, though.
Yeah, it seems like he's just tapped out as well. Well, maybe he's waiting. Maybe he's waiting to give me a chance at interim or something. But
the one thing that I can tell you with absolute impunity is players tend not to like playing for him too much. Same thing happened in Miami, happened in Denver.
Yep.
By the end of season 1, Justin Simmons was coming out and going, look, we're not enjoying playing at the moment. And the personalities that are in Philadelphia at the moment, maybe that's as much as what it is.
Well, he's old school, isn't he? I think he has been
Very.
doing tough practices and stuff. But great win for the Bucks. If we move away from the Eagles slightly, I mean, it's good to see the Bucks aren't just frauds this season. They're genuinely going to be contending in the NFC. I think they're going to make a decent playoff run again.
Good run.
Takes a good team to turn them over.
Yeah. Talking of the NFC South, we better talk about the Saints at the Falcons. Dave was so close to predicting a 1-point Saints win, but unfortunately they scored a touchdown with a whole 60 seconds left in the game. It left Atlanta needing a point, and a Paulson Adebo defensive pass interference call put Younghoe Koo in position to kick a career-long 58-yard game-winning field goal, despite the Falcons not scoring an offensive touchdown. They scooped a muff punt off the opening drive, then picked six Derek Carr in the second quarter. The final score was the Saints 24, Falcons 26.
It's a weird old game, this one. I think the Saints looked a lot better than the Falcons, but the Falcons managed to come through. I'm still not sold on them, though.
I think the Falcons are quite lucky with this. I mean, they get the ball back down with a minute to go.
Yeah.
DPI gets them down the field. Cousins then doesn't convert, and then they get a penalty, and on comes a career-long field goal to win it with seconds spare. It was,
You can argue that you make your own luck, but I agree with you, Finn. It's it was fortunate, to say the least.
Oh, it was definitely fortunate. I do like the fact that all of a sudden Atlanta have a defense that can put points on the board. How many years have we been going on that, the Atlanta offense has pieces, but the defense always lets them down? Well, for somehow this season, they've managed to flip it. I do think this offense for Atlanta will come good. But yeah, this was a really weird game. But then we tend to get really weird games in this division when they play each other. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when the Falcons and Bucks play on a short week this week as well, as to what happened. But yeah, I think the Falcons definitely got away with this. The Saints definitely look like the better team.
AJ Terrell has moved into that atmosphere now of being an elite corner. I think
I'd say
this season he's moved into being one of the top guys.
Yeah.
And he's been threatening to do that for quite some time.
But it was the Atlanta rush game that, the run defense wasn't working. I mean, Taysom had 2 rushing touchdowns. Alvin Kamara had 1 rushing touchdown.
What a player Taysom Hill is, by the way.
Chris Olave had almost 90 yards receiving. So yeah, you're right. The Saints were pretty unlucky to lose this game.
Team. They really were.
Yeah.
There you go. On to the Steelers at the Colts. A trap game for the Steelers, who went to sleep on defense. The Colts rattled off 17 points on their opening 3 drives. A Jonathan Taylor rush and a Josh Downs catch as their starting quarterback Anthony Richardson went out with a hip injury. In comes the 39-year-old Joe Flacco. He was able to keep drives going and got a second-half touchdown to Alec Ogletree. The Steelers only managed 2 sacks in the game as mistakes crept in. George Pickens fumbled in the red zone. Justin Fields fumbled under duress. But Pittsburgh did mount a comeback. 3 consecutive touchdown drives with 2 rushing scores for Fields and 1 catch and stretch from Freiermuth got it back to a 3-point game. But the final drive failed, and the final score was the Pittsburgh Steelers 24, Indianapolis Colts 27.
Joe Flacco just completely owns the Steelers yet again.
Doesn't own us. We have paid
absolutely owns you.
Close to
11 years we've been playing that guy. So he's got a lot of experience. But,
and he knows what to do.
In the first 3 weeks of the season, it very much seemed as like the offensive game plan was, Justin Fields, here are your training wheels. Don't, this is the box that you're playing in. Do not stretch outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked, I've only seen the extended highlights of this, the 40-minute game.
Sure.
So you'll probably have more of an idea than I will. But it felt like they were asking him to do a little bit more this time and say, right, we're going to extend the lead. It's where you take a dog for a walk and he starts behaving, so you let his leash go a little bit more, of a sudden he runs into the road. Made 1 or 2 mistakes that weren't happening in week 1, 2, and 3. And it just looks as if you need to sort of rein him back and just say, okay, let's keep the momentum going and shorten the lead on you a little bit there.
I think the one thing to remember about Justin Fields is that for the entire preseason and training camp, everything was being geared towards Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's probably taken this long for them to get a playbook together that's comfortable enough that Fields feels like, A, he knows it, and B, he can execute it. So I do agree. I think they did let him off the leash a little bit on this one. He certainly got me plenty of fantasy points,
Yep.
so that was good. Indianapolis strike me as a strange team. They looked kind of, and I don't want to start sounding like I'm going off on Richardson, but they looked like a competent offense and could move the ball quite comfortably when Flacco took over. It just looked like everyone settled down. I mean, they scored points, obviously, when Richardson was on the field, but there just seemed to be a different air of confidence around them when Flacco was playing.
Let's not pull any punches. Richardson's been crap this season. Apart from one or two highlights, he's been a bit crap, to be honest. And
True.
Flacco's come in and been, well, what Flacco is.
He's been Flacco.
Middle of the road, will do the
Steady
right thing.
Eddie.
Dan Orlovsky made an interesting point about Justin Fields, which I meant to mention, and I've just come back. And I like Dan Orlovsky. And he was on a podcast, and what he said was, when you ask your quarterback to run it double-digit times, I think he had like 12 or 13 rushes or something like that, you then ask him to throw the ball, and he's knackered. He's tired. So he's throwing the ball, and, there's that possibility.
Dan Orlovsky was.
Well, he was still an NFL quarterback, and he's worthy.
A terrible NFL quarterback.
Worthy of listening to. So, is there
Dan
something
Orlovsky
in
had one of the greatest NFL plays of all time when he stepped out the back of the end zone.
He did, absolutely. But it's still a valid point. He ran it double-digit times. Is he? Is at that point you're going, right? Okay, he's a little bit more tired than he would be when he's just.
I'm not sure why we're even talking about Justin Fields. He was one of the best players we had on the team. It was the defense that let us down this game. Justin Fields was unanimous. All Steelers fans have been going, we've got our quarterback. There's no way you could put Russell Wilson back in after that performance. That was our first 3 consecutive touchdown drives since 2021, sorry. Week 3 of 2021. Could have been 2021. It's been years since we had 3 consecutive touchdown drives, and that's because of Justin Fields. He was brilliant for us in this game. You're right. He was let off the leash a bit more. He was brilliant. He was. The mistakes were on defense, not stopping the Colts somehow for the entire game. So strange, so out of character for the defense. But they allowed that point score to rack up, and then despite the offense being really good and getting back into it, there are a couple of little mistakes, and that's what edges the game for the Colts. I mean, both George Pickens and Michael Pittman had 113 receiving yards each, which is quite weird. They have exactly the same receiving yards, but the offenses were working. It was the defenses that weren't. And that usually wins us the game. This one was just, like I said, it was a trap game. But no, everyone unanimously is on like the Justin Fields train now in
which I think is right. I think you should be.
Yeah.
It doesn't detract from the fact that this was Fields' worst game of the season.
It was his best game of the season. It was his best game of the season. Trust me.
I think he was missing. There was a couple of key moments where he was giving it up, which again, the fumble, and there was a couple of open passes where he wasn't able to swing it, and little things like that, and you win the game. I'm not saying it's on him. I
tend to side with Jim on this one. I think this was Fields' most complete game of the season. Might not be his best because they didn't win, but I do feel like he turned into.
He's not on defense.
He was a quarterback. He was a quarterback. Yeah, but he was a quarterback in this game, whereas he's felt more like a custodian / running back in the previous. Yeah. So I think comfort in the system, comfort in the plays, comfort in the play calling, and just generally getting to know the offense, I think has helped him massively. I mean, you're saying everyone's on board with not putting Russell in. I can see why. You are unbeaten to start the season, so that to me does make sense that you carry on. I just wonder what happens when you do lose a couple of games, whether people get impatient with Fields, because it will likely be a mistake or two that cost you games.
This is the test, because they lost last week and now they've got Dallas, and if they lose again against Dallas, a Dallas team I think that they should beat. And then you've got obviously divisional games coming up, and they're always hard. Even when the Browns are rubbish, they're still going to be hard games.
And the Bengals, yeah. No, but we always play well against them, so it will be what will be.
If you don't,
we'll see.
That's when the voices all clear up. I think Fields has been fantastic. It's just that I don't feel like he was as good in this game or as effective in this game as he was in previous games.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah, we do that a lot. In fairness.
We do. Anything you want to say, Phil, on the game? Very quiet.
I'll just let you boys hash out.
Rubbish.
Yeah, I think we should bring Wilson in, to be honest. We all know what a star man he is.
Yeah, we know that you love Russell Wilson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a quarterback.
We can trade him back to you if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
Send him to Oakland.
Well, there's going to be plenty of teams that maybe want a quarterback. Miami have been sniffing, I think. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, on to the next one. Let's do the Broncos at the Jets. No, I'm not doing this. This was an abomination of a game. I don't care about the weather. The Jets look nothing like the team that won the last 2 games. Nick's got his first touchdown just to Courtland Sutton. Final score, Broncos 10, Jets 9.
Wow.
I have nothing to say on that game.
I did see that Bo Nix was for -7 yards.
Yeah. He ended with 60, though. He ended with 60 yards. Fair play to him.
Sorry.
Great performance. 60 yards.
60 yards is...
Won the game.
Won the game, yeah. Commanding. Yeah. Well done. Well done.
Defensively, we were excellent. We were really,
the Jets
really
played good as well on defense, by that metric.
It was a very, very tough game. But the Broncos have played 3 games this season away. Played 4 games this season, 3 of which have been away. 2 on the East Coast, 1 against a really, really good Seattle team, and we're 2-2. I'll take that. I don't care how they come. I'll take that quite nicely. Thank you.
And we've spent at least 15 seconds too long on this game. So we're going to move on to the next one, which was the Browns at the Raiders. We really will not be spending long on this one either. Raiders seem to be getting lucky wins against the AFC North. And that's about it. The Browns got up to...
There's a hidden agenda with this.
The Browns got...
We're definitely being picked on here.
Oh my God. The Browns got up to 10-0 in the first quarter thanks to a touchdown catch from backup tight end Blake Whiteheart. The Raiders got the next 20 points, Trey Tucker and DJ Turner on end arounds. Rodney McLeod scooped up a fumble to score for the Browns, but the extra point was missed. And the Browns had a game-winning 85-yard touchdown chalked off thanks to the refs helping the Raiders yet again. Final score was the Browns 60.
All the time, doesn't it?
Raiders 20.
I can't even remember what that flag was for. It was some dodgy holding call.
It was for nothing.
Oh, no,
it was for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was.
You're going to justify that hold there, Punk?
Yeah, absolutely. If you hold the defender that's coming to kill your quarterback, then you get a flag for it.
He definitely affected
it. Busted play at the other end of it or not. No, this was reasonable. Considering how we played against the Panthers, there was a little bit of a response. It didn't look like it in the first, say, quarter. It looked very similar to the Panthers game in the first quarter, but certainly something happened that livened everyone up. Interestingly, Jack Jones was benched for that first quarter, so I'm guessing he's one of the ones that was mentioned in the whole business decision piece last week. So yeah, that looked fairly obvious. Obviously, playing without Devontae and Max, anytime you can get a win without your premier wide receiver and quarterback killer is a good result. So, yes, you will scoff that it's only Cleveland, but to come away with the last second win, I'm perfectly happy with that.
It's only Cleveland. No one cares about this game. Can we talk about the most important thing?
Well, I was going to say, you're about to get used to not playing with your wide receiver. Right.
Charles Snowden and Kalavian Chason did look promising, and yes, I would start them over Tyree Wilson. So there you go. You can move on.
What a damning indictment then of your first-round picks yet again.
Nothing.
Chason was a former first-round pick, I think you'd find.
I said the Raiders' first-round picks.
Oh, okay, I'll let you off.
Yes, no, nothing else to talk about. Move on.
No.
Move on.
Let's just
Devontae Adams.
Pump the brakes.
Devontae Adams, he's got a hamstring injury. He's not playing.
Devontae Adams.
Not worth talking about.
Got a purse string injury.
To quote Robert Louis Stevenson, Wagwan, what's happening?
Young Mr. Adams has correctly, in my opinion, called out the Raiders organization for not putting together a team in the last 3-4 years that has been able to match his championship expectations, and so therefore has asked to leave the football club. It is what it is. To be honest, this was probably going to be his last season with us anyway. So, if we can get some decent draft capital for him or other players into help, then, that's probably the way to go. Yes, it's gutting. No, I'm not going to talk about it.
Yes, you are.
To me, it's nowhere near as gutting as the Khalil Mack trade from a few years ago. This has been on the cards for a while, no matter what Devontae says about, oh no, I never wanted to move. As soon as Derek Carr got benched and moved on, he was always going to be looking for a way out. The problem is for us is that Josh McDaniels absolutely destroyed the club. So yeah, we've had to. We're going to have a little bit of a rebuild on offense. But if Sunday's showing against Cleveland is anything to go by what we can expect over the next few weeks of the season, rest of this season, playing without Devontae Adams is not the end of the world. It just means other people will come to the fore and pick up the slack. And if we need to get another wide receiver in, then Hunter Renfro's still on free agency. So there you go.
Sorted.
Wow.
Sorted. Got it all laid out.
Someone put him in charge.
Let's be honest. Adams is going to want to go to the Chiefs, but will not have the bottle to do it, and neither will the Raiders organization. He will want to go to the Jets because Aaron Rodgers is there, and they look like they could possibly, with a bit of work, get into the playoffs. I know Jim wants him at the Steelers because he thinks he's can be 5 times the player that Antonio Brown ever was. But I personally wouldn't like to see that just for that reason. But yeah, I am 100% certain that by the trade deadline, Devontae Adams will not be a Raider.
Imagine a 1-2 punch of Devontae Adams and Chris Olave. Poor blimey, geezer, mate. That would be amazing.
That's the other option. I just don't see it because
Saints are broke.
Saints got 25 million in cap space.
They better not have.
They managed that. The only way he's going to go to the Saints is if the Saints, by the trade deadline, are still in the playoff hunt. What Adams wants more than anything is a ring. And, the Saints are going to have to prove it to him before he makes any decision. I'm not even convinced he's got a hamstring injury. I think he's just sitting out, to be honest. But
really?
Yeah,
feigning an injury.
I'm not mad about it. It's business. At the end of the day, this is what the NFL is now. So, good luck to whoever picks him up, paying his $35 million that he's owed next year.
God, there's no sour grapes already. He's not even left the club yet. You're really salting the earth behind him. Jesus.
All right,
we're going to move on.
I reckon he might go to Denver.
Not going to Denver. I wouldn't mind seeing him at the Seahawks with Smith and Jigba
and don't need him.
That'd be an interesting.
We won't go for him.
They'd have to line up a 4 wide receiver set every single play. Jackson Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf knocking people out, and then you got Tyler Lockett and Devontae. Not happening.
No,
not having it.
I've got 3 games now. I've classed as closer than it should have been games now. So we're going to start with the Chiefs at the Chargers, and they can't keep getting away with it.
You can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it.
How is this Chiefs team unbeaten? How can the Chargers score 10 points in the first quarter and not score again the rest of the game? How can Mahomes throw a pick and then injure his best receiver but still come back to win? With the Chargers going 3 and out 3 times in a row, Chiefs rookie Xavier Worthy reeled off a 54-yard touchdown score. Samaje Perine got the game winner in the 4th as the Chargers continued to choke. The final score was the Chiefs 17, Chargers 10.
Chargers going to charge.
I don't know. I don't care. I'm not talking about the Chiefs until they actually lose a game.
Should we talk about Devontae Adams again?
Let's do that.
Damn it. Damn it, LA.
Do you know what the Chargers were missing? Game players, game changers on offense.
Where's this amazing quarterback you keep talking about?
Well, he's got no one to throw at.
Injured,
Andy does look a bit injured as well.
To be fair to them, when they scored 10, they thought the game was over and they forgot there was another 3 quarters. So it's understandable.
Mahomes doesn't have a reputation of coming back.
No.
Does he? So.
Well, they've spent a first-round draft pick on Quentin Johnston, so they've invested.
Hands of stone.
Yeah.
I just think it's Chargers going to charge, and the Chiefs are.
Unbeaten.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
They're not. I thought they were
Luckiest
going to
team in
be really,
football.
really good this season, and they haven't been. They've been garbage. And
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, by the way, hates Rasheed Rice. Just hates him. It's like should have got. Is it? You can get done for targeting. Can you get done for targeting on your own
It did look bad. It did look bad.
Yeah.
It's a new way of
wonder
doing
if
it.
he peed in his Gatorade or something in the locker room. It definitely looked personal.
Some Batman justice for getting away with that car crash in the off season.
It is ridiculous.
Sort you out, Rashi. My next close that should have been game was the Jags at the Texans. It may have been their fourth loss in a row, but at least the Jags kept the score close, and Trevor Lawrence had 2 touchdown passes, the first coming off a rare dollop of luck as a punt was spilled by the Texans, giving them instant red zone on the recovery. Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins had Houston back in front by half-time. A Christian Kirk score switched the lead again in the third, and Texans rookie safety Kalen Bullock stopped a nailed-on touchdown run from Tank Bigsby, and that would have been difficult to overcome. The Texans used almost all the fourth quarter to get their game-winning pass to Dare Ogunbowale, and the final score was the Jags 20, Texans 24.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's the drama between the Jags and Travis Etienne? Because I heard it referred to on commentary about 4 or 5 times in the fact that he's not playing for some particular reason and there's some kind of beef and he was upset with the organization, they were upset with him. Do we know? Does anyone know? Because there's something weird going on and they miss him big style because Tank Bigsby is not as good.
You mean Travis Etienne that carried it 11 times for 50 yards in that game?
But he was taken off and during red zone was zipping backwards and forwards to it. And he was on the sideline looking dour-faced and sad.
I have to admit, I didn't watch a huge amount of this game, but I'm not aware of anything that I can think of.
It's my understanding that Travis is more of the kind of in between the 20s runner, and Bigsby is the red zone target because he's the big boy. Like I said, I just said, he had that 85-yard odd run where he almost got a touchdown but got caught by Kalen Bullock. But other than that, they don't normally use Travis Etienne around the goal line because he's not that kind of running back. Maybe he's annoyed about that. Maybe he thinks that he can be that running back. Who knows?
They just referenced it a couple of times. It was all very
He's had some fumbles as well. He's coughed at the ball a few times already this season, so maybe the confidence isn't there from the organisation.
You know why, don't you? Clemson.
Oh yeah.
This was the first game in NFL history where both teams had a player called Tank on either side. That's how interesting
Tank warfare.
Was, by the way.
Excellent.
There you go. That's the stat everyone was here for.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the final game that was closer than it should have been, and that was the Bengals at the Panthers. Congratulations, Cincinnati. You got a win this season against the worst team in the league to now have the same record as them. The Andy Dalton revenge game didn't quite work out for Carolina, but at least kept it respectable. There were Panther touchdowns for Chuba Hubbard, Deontay Johnson, and a first for podcast favourite Xavier Legette. The Bengals lent on their run game, 2 touchdowns for Finn's boy Chase Brown, 1 for Zach Moss, and a bit of Jamar Chase magic, catching a pass across the middle and taking advantage of very suspect defending to break a 63-yard touchdown. The final score was the Bengals 34, Panthers 24.
Carolina are not the worst team in football.
I didn't say they were. Well, they kind of.
Yeah, you did.
All right. Statistically, they're the worst team in the league.
The New York Giants are the worst team in football.
Maybe now.
By the Miami Dolphins, until Tua is back, because they are.
And the Patriots.
Awful.
Patriots
are there as well.
Suck.
There's a little kind of group of them, but the Panthers are definitely in there.
No, Panthers are all right.
The thing with the Panthers is
they look completely different.
If you would have said this week 1, then yes. But with Dalton, they look such a different side, and they're now getting the running game involved, and Hubbard is making things happen, and it seems to be so explosive that they look a completely different team to week 1. And so, I'm still not saying they're going to be leading the league in anything, but they're definitely off the bottom and are working their way up. Particularly on Dalton, I don't think Bryce Young works in that team. I think he needs to look elsewhere to really flourish.
Maybe also Dalton's an experienced starter in the league. He started for several seasons for Cincinnati. He hasn't been dropped in. You've got these guys, they need that time to learn. and to bed in. Something that Bryce Young
Not that
hasn't
this
really been
means
given.
anything, but the ESPN Power Rankings does have the Patriots at 32.
That's updated.
Okay.
When I wrote this, Panthers were still bottom, but there we go. Anything you want to say, Punk, before we move on?
No, I think the Bengals are starting to look better. I think they finally got a bit of their mojo back. It'd be interesting to see how they cope over the next few weeks. I think they've got some tough divisionals coming up. But yeah, it looks like the offense is starting to click again a bit more. Defense is still a bit of a worry. Obviously, giving up 24 to the Panthers is not usual, shall we say. And yeah, I'd still worry about them defensively, but if they can keep racking up points, then they should be all right.
Their next game is they're at home to the Ravens, then away to the Giants, away to the Browns. Then they got the Eagles, the Raiders, and then the Ravens, Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys. So yeah, they've got some tough games coming up, and a couple of easy games as well.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens. I think that's going to be very important for them. If they can beat the Ravens, then they're in a much better position. Let's go on to the Patriots at the 49ers. The 49ers didn't get a second gear to beat the Patriots. Gifted points off a fumble and a pick six. Then the Patriots touchdown came after a botched catch on the opening kickoff in the second half. No sign of Drake May. And with Brissett taking 6 sacks, I'm not entirely surprised. The final score was the Patriots 13, 49ers 30.
I feel like the Patriots, well, I feel like the 49ers went into limp home mode from pretty much from the third quarter.
Yeah.
If do you remember how like Miami wanted to punish Denver in the 70 game, and they were like, no, we're really gonna try and score as many as we can. If the 49ers wanted to do that in this game, I feel like they could have. If they really, really wanted to stick it to them, it could have been an embarrassment because it was so one-sided.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was, the 49ers definitely had another gear or two that they could have gone up if they wanted to. Nice to see Kittle getting back into things. He's been very, very absent this year so far when he has played. But yeah, it was just one of those comfortable games, wasn't it? Where one team was comfortably better than the other team, and at no point did it ever feel like the Patriots had enough to get themselves back in it.
Yeah. A case of a good team beating a bad team.
Doing what they're supposed to do.
Which is annoying because it gives the Niners another win. But hey.
It does, unfortunately so, yes. Let's go on to Sunday night then, and the Bills at the Ravens. The Bills are on a 3-game win streak, scoring at least 31 points a game at home against a proper opponent. Unfortunately, they got simply torn up on the ground from the very first Ravens offensive play as Derrick Henry reeled off an 87-yard touchdown. Though the two teams had almost identical passing yards, the Ravens had more than 3 times the rushing yards, as each attempt went for almost 5 yards a go. Henry ended the game with 2 touchdowns and 199 yards. The final score was the Bills 10, Ravens 35.
It was like
I was really looking forward to this, and it just ended up a bit of a pointless game.
I warned you.
It's like the Ravens just went, you know what, we can run this down.
We are actually a decent football team, and we can play defense, and we can run the football. It's simple, isn't it?
I think the big loss, I know, Jim, you're not a massive fan, but I think Matt Milano changes this game because he can stop the run. He really can. I know he's a bit one-dimensional, but he's great at what he does. But yeah, Derrick Henry just tore him up. It was at times embarrassing. When you carry the ball 24 times and you average 8.3.
Yeah.
It's like we're going to run the ball on first down. Now we've got second and short. It's just easy. It's mad and easy. Jim shrugged his shoulders, and you're absolutely right. That's all you need to say.
That's all there is to it.
I picked the Ravens to win this game. I saw this coming. The Bills aren't as good as some people think they are. They have taken a step back from last season. I don't think they're going to get as far in the playoffs as they did last year. And I think they made the playoffs, but I think got knocked first round, didn't they? They might not even make the
first round.
Yeah, they might. Well, the fact that the Dolphins have imploded, which is no fault of their own, really, but is a little bit. But I think they'll be. I think the Bills will be gifted the AFC East, but I don't think they're as good as some people think they are. And this one proved it. They came up against a proper opponent for the first time, like I said, and they got waxed. So thanks very much for giving Baltimore some confidence, Buffalo. Thanks very much for that. We're going to move on, if no one's got anything else to say about how good the Ravens are or how bad the Bills were. To the Monday night games, there were two of them. We're going to do the Seahawks at the Lions, and wow, this game had everything. Laterals and Philly specials to wrestling moves and record games for both quarterbacks. But in the end, it was the Detroit Lions who were just a little bit tougher. Jared Goff went 18 of 18 for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus one he caught from Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown had a touchdown catch himself, and Jameson Williams broke a 70-yard touchdown run, with 2 for Jahmyr Gibbs and 1 for David Montgomery on the ground. It was too much for the Seahawks to keep up with. But shout out to Kenneth Walker, who got a career-high 3 rushing touchdowns to give it a go, and rookie tight end A.J. Barner getting his first NFL touchdown. The final score was the Seahawks 29, Lions 42.
This was the Lions offense I've been expecting to see all season long.
Yeah.
It's finally turned up, which is nice to see. I also think this is the best game Jared Goff has ever played in his life. Literally,
it's a perfect game. I mean, it's 18 of 18.
A perfect game. He's now caught more touchdown passes than Deebo Samuel. He's caught more touchdown passes than Brandon Ayuk. There's a whole list of players that we could go through. I thought the Lions were phenomenal in this game, and the Seahawks were pretty damn good too.
Yes,
as well. I don't think we should overlook the fact that, bar one or two little stuttery drives early in the game, the Seahawks were just marching up and down the field as well. Kenneth Walker's an absolute beast. To come back off his hamstring injury and play as well as he did, I just thought this was a great game of football, to be honest. There wasn't a huge amount of defense, but probably enough. Terrion Arnold still getting rather handsy with his receivers, will cause the Lions a few headaches if he carries on doing that for the rest of the season. But yeah, it's really one of those games that you just enjoy sitting down and watching. So if anyone hasn't watched the full game, I would recommend you go and do so, because the time passes very quickly compared to, say, the Jets and the Denver Broncos.
I have a big problem with this game.
I do as well. We lost.
Statistically, this is Jared Goff's best game. I thought he was ordinary, to be honest. The main reason being the defensive line for the Seahawks. They had their 4 best defensive linemen out, and when you're playing against the best offensive line in football, Jared Goff had all day to throw. I mean, do you remember that play what Kyler Murray had where he had 22 seconds to run around? Jared Goff
I remember. That was against the Raiders, wasn't it?
Yeah, he could have done that standing.
He did it a couple of weeks ago against somebody else.
So much time. And to come out of it, yes, you came out of it with 100% and things like that, but he had a good job. He had a good game, but I don't think he was brilliant. He just did what he needed to do. It was so easy for him.
Well, Dan Campbell didn't give him the game ball, did he? Afterwards, he didn't realise it was a perfect game.
Major League Baseball player throw a perfect game against the Pee Wee team, because there was no pass rush. They had reserve guys up against the best defensive line in the league.
Right. So your linebackers and your cornerbacks need to step up and do something.
They can't, because Amon-Ra St. Brown will torch him behind. And if you haven't got him, you've got Sam Laporta. If you haven't got it was almost impossible for Seattle. And I give more credit to Seattle. And I say this as a Lions lover. I give Seattle more credit for what they did than I do Detroit. I get what you mean about this is the offense you want to see. I'm not giving them it yet.
I think this was, I agree, it was a really exciting game, but at the same time, so frustrating, because the offense for us was there. I mean, Geno threw for nearly 400 yards.
Season, by the way.
Yeah, I gained them, right? I think.
Really together. And there's an argument of, first 1 to 2 quarters, we didn't run the ball enough. But it sort of, the run game grew more and more into the game, but Geno was sort of making plays, a fumble by Metcalf, which would have given us a first down, and then they turn over and go and score on that drive, then leaves us 14-0 down and sort of a mountain to climb. But offensively, we were there, just so frustrating that we didn't get to play with our starters on the defense, because I think it would have been so much closer. And we've seen throughout the start of this season that the defense and what we're trying to build and how we're trying to play, and the high pressure, the in your face defense, but we simply weren't able to do that because we didn't have the caliber of players on the line available to do that. I mean, we lost Julian Love as well through the game. He went off with an injury, so that was another blow to the defense. So we're losing starters, as Dave said, 4 starters from the front set gone. Julian Love goes throughout the game, so then you're down 5, arguably 6 key players on the defense against what is a very powerful Lions offense.
Yeah.
And so you're then going into the ring with one hand tied behind your back. This was going to be so much harder. So
yeah,
really proud of what the boys did. Obviously frustrating we couldn't get the win, but and I'm not trying to make excuses, but the lack of defense really hurt us this week.
Just stating facts. Sweden.
The other thing as well, in one of my other fantasy leagues, by the way, I went in and I was 10 points ahead, feeling pretty confident because the other guy had AJ Barner, and I was like, in the bag.
He never.
In the bag. Yeah, I ended up losing that one. I lost in every single one of my fantasy leagues this week. Every single one.
I think I finally got a win in one of mine. But
I scraped to win, but I don't know how.
I've got as many wins as the Jags this season.
So that was the Seattle Detroit game. Oh yeah, and the Titans beat the Dolphins 31-12. Anyway, let's go on to Punk's power plays then, shall we?
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Bo Nick's better be in there.
I've got a couple that better be in there.
This is Punk's power plays. If you want Denver's power plays or Seattle's power plays, then you can do that.
If I didn't give a shit, you are able to. Upset.
Yeah, mate. Right. As always, start with the hat trick heroes. Just one this week, and Finn, it's your man, Kenneth Walker. Phenomenal hat trick against the Lions. Even with that hat trick, though, not enough to win the game. Some honourable mentions. Well,
there was no need to say that.
Outrageous.
Outrageous letting the 49ers back into the division race. How dare you? Right, honourable mentions. Josh Allen's bomb to Khalil Shakir while being chased by 4 Ravens and launching it down the field. Jeremy McNichols' power ballet down the sideline touchdown run for Washington. Jamar Chase's 63-yard pinball touchdown, and one for Jim, Darnell Washington's stiff arm and hurdle combo play.
Only an honourable mention for that.
Only an honourable mention for that.
Well, I don't want to be a sour Sam, but I don't really agree with the Josh Allen one.
I don't really care what you agree with.
I don't think you should have done that.
This is Punk's power.
I don't think you should have done that.
Get back in your box.
You got away with one there. All right,
it's fine. If you don't like the power plays, then by all means ignore them. Go and make a cup of tea.
I love the power plays.
Crack on with the listeners that love it.
I'm listening intently.
And you can come back in about 5 minutes and carry on as normal.
Before we go into it, can I just mention one other hat trick hero? Jordan Love's 3 interceptions.
Oh yeah.
Those alternatives.
Yes.
Carry on.
Right. When people start to doubt you and injuries seem to be more frequent, you sometimes need to remind them who you are.
Let a naysayer know.
So on 3rd and 10 from the opponent's 12, you run a route to the left corner of the end zone, but your reputation precedes you. And as the quarterback releases the pass, you have 3 defenders converging on you. Regardless of all this, if you're a tight end of the exceptional talents of George Kittle, you go above them all and rip the ball away, securing the grab for the touchdown and creating an unassailable lead for your 49ers. Why is this in there? Because George Kittle's done nothing all season long. So for him to come back and on a triple coverage team, triple team coverage, he absolutely went up and grabbed that ball for the 49ers. It was a fantastic play, and George Kittle, for all you fantasy owners, looks like he's back to doing stuff.
So he's in there because he's done nothing all season?
Yes.
That means we're going to see Trevor Lawrence next week then.
Did you actually see the play, Dave?
I'll be honest. I'm sure I did.
It was basically a
I
fade.
think you might need to go on YouTube and look at them
It's
afterwards.
not at the front of my mind right now. I'm not gonna lie.
That's the point of the segment. Bringing forward those plays that aren't at the front of your mind.
Get on with it.
This one will be at the front of your mind, though, because it was a phenomenal play from Monday night.
Go next. Oh.
So you found yourself in a shootout against a familiar opponent and decide it's time to pull from the back of the playbook and try and pull ahead by 2 scores. It's a play no one will ever see coming, well, bar the linebacker who notices too late. On 2nd and goal from the 7-yard line, you start to run a jet sweep with your all-pro receiver. But wait, what's this? He stopped dead at the 15-yard line and planted his feet. He lost the ball with a touch perfectly back to the other side of the field, where a certain quarterback has slipped out around the back of the defense. Amon-Ra's ball lands perfectly in Jared Goff's breadbasket at the 2-yard line, and he slowly ambles across the line for the 2-score lead that would never be caught. Why do I like this? Because I think it was the slowest Philly special that's ever been run. Jared Goff moves slower than Tom Brady did in the Super Bowl. It's unbelievable how slow he is in this. But having said that, Amon-Ra's pass was absolutely on the money. So it was the pass that got this in rather than anything else. And yes, didn't he used to be a quarterback in high school or something, Amon-Ra?
They all were.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can I say, by the way, that Lions jersey, absolutely.
Oh yes, the uniforms and helmet combo was absolutely great. I love that. Moving on, right. So you're playing in prime time against one of your conference competitors. So you want to come out with a bang, and that's exactly what this person did with his team against Buffalo. On their first offensive play from scrimmage, the Ravens are at their own 17-yard line. Lamar does what you would expect Lamar to do and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, who hits the hole at right tackle. Now, the Bills have normally a pretty good defense, yeah? So anyone? No one touches him. No one gets a hand on him as he destroys the second level on his way to an 87-yard score. Who knew such a large and old individual still had such pace in him? All hail the king. Phenomenal run. Absolutely phenomenal run. I honestly didn't believe that Derrick Henry still had that much pace. I think we've all at times said he's lost a step, blah, blah, blah. But a man moving at 250 pounds like that can't get caught by cornerbacks and safeties is a pretty special thing. And he is a pretty special player. Mm-hmm. Right, onwards. You're down 10, then up 10, and give all the momentum back to your opponents with a turnover for a touchdown. So now you've given them an opportunity to win the game with one final drive, and the beast is knocking at the door. That's usually where bad things happen right now, but there was a snowman in Vegas on Sunday who refused to melt and was going to bring his team out of the cold. On 4th and 3, with 40 seconds left on the clock, the Browns snap the ball, and Snowden, who starts the play at the right end, loops all the way around the offensive line to come through the middle. The quarterback, who should not be named, takes off running left, still looking downfield, but misses his open receiver. Now he's being hunted down, and as he looks to finally release the ball, Charles Snowden tackles him from behind, securing an important win for the beautiful Raiders organization. When you haven't got Max Crosby...
Jim, can you just edit that bit out?
Well, go and watch it. It's a phenomenal play. When you haven't got Max Crosby...
For the Raiders. Yeah.
And no, it's a phenomenal play. Watch where the man starts, watch where he ends up, and watch how he gets through the line. It's excellent, excellent defensive end work. Moving on. Another one. Right. There was quite a few this week, to be fair. There's quite a lot.
If you put that in, there's going to be a lot of plays, yeah.
There's quite a lot that have been left out as well. So it was probably the best week so far, to be honest, for these. Mm-hmm. Right. Now for something completely different. My favourite play of the week, possibly the season, maybe in the last 10 years. On 2nd and 4 from the opponent's 42, with 12:03 left in the second quarter, your quarterback drops back and throws a short out route to the running back, a couple of yards short of the first down marker. Cue ramp from Punk Raider around throwing the ball short of the first down marker. Mm-hmm. No, not this time. The linebacker has excellent coverage, spins the running back down where he makes the catch. Play over, right? No. The running back manages to spin his body to land on the tackler before planting his feet down, then using his helmet to push off the tackler's midsection, somersault over him onto his feet, and pass the first down marker. He then begins to run upfield, where he's eventually tackled and punched in the face after a gain of 10 yards. Amazingly, at no point during that sequence of events was the runner ever down, and I still think it's one of the best plays I've ever seen. Kenneth Walker, sir, you are an absolute beast.
Yeah.
I'm glad that made it.
Yeah.
That was an amazing play. I've never seen anyone springboard off their helmet, basically.
That was phenomenal.
And carry on running. I mean, the strength of the man's neck must be phenomenal.
Fresh off an injury as well.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
to know you weren't down as well, to know to get up and keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To actually have that instinct to be spun down for what would look like a decent tackle, put your hand down, keep yourself up, pin your legs underneath you, and then spin on your helmet, basically. Somersault off your helmet is, phenomenal play. And that's it for this week.
Ends on the high.
No Bo Nix.
Ends on the high. Thank you very much, Punk. No Bo Nix.
Throwing it backwards.
What's the Bo Nix play, Dave? Go on, you're itching to tell us.
No, just got a touchdown, that was all.
Okay.
He almost threw Cortland Sutton out the back of the end zone with that pass.
Cortland Sutton, 6'5", man.
Yeah, and he almost didn't make it as well.
He
needed every inch of that 6'5".
Don't worry about that, Jim. Don't you worry about that.
I'm not worrying about it, mate. No one's worrying about it. So there we go. That was the review of week 4. It is done. We'll be back shortly with the week 5 preview podcast. In the meantime, make sure you're checking out all of our socials, patreon.com/finaldown. Sign up there. If you've got this far through the pod, you should definitely be signing up for patreon.com. You don't have to pay if you don't want to. We'd love you to get some extra stuff that we release just for Patreon members. But you can just sign up and get all of our footage on there. So that's the big thing to do. All right, you've got to the end, do that.
If you've got this far, then you've actually fallen asleep with your headphones in your ears, in which case, wake up!
And tell your friends to do the same thing.
That's why we do power plays last, you see, because everyone wants the power play.
Exactly.
So that's why
you've got to keep them on tenterhooks until they
keep them on tenterhooks because they don't know when they're coming.
It's been great to have all 3 of you here, boys. All 4 of us on the pod in one go. It's very rare that happens. But just like a great defensive line, we like swapping around, moving around, keeping fit fresh. But it's great to have you all here. So until next week, I've been Jim, that's been Finn, that's been Ever Dave, that's been Punk Raider, and thank you very much for listening.